think maybe when we hear the word destruction, we picture rubble. We think of things collapsing, being vandalised or broken, and we tend to connect it with damage and violence, and probably in the end with loss. So I don't know if we're hardwired to avoid, if we can, being destructive, or maybe we've just been conditioned to see destruction as negative. In a recent workshop we did with some children, we invited them to cut images from an old book, and we'd bought the book purposely from a junk shop so we could repurpose it for collage. And we didn't ask them to destroy the book, but even so, most of them chose not to cut into the book. They'd already learned that books are not to be altered and that marking or cutting them was somehow wrong. So the freedom to reimagine the book as material for making had kind of been educated out of them. We know that creation and destruction are often two sides of the same coin. And I think as we try to find ways to enable learners to develop their material literacy skills, then we could also think a little bit more about how we can make space for cathartic and mindful processes that verge on being destructive or are destructive, and somehow by legitimising those actions so that we see them not as acts of damage but as acts of exploration, then we can help learners build a different kind of relationship to their materials and also explore their own creativity as well. So a couple of ways of thinking about this in terms of workshop activities. The first one is about painting out. So the act of painting out, I think, gives us permission to clear a space. It's about covering over and letting go. And in doing so, we make room for something new to emerge. I really like that painting out is a quiet, purposeful gesture, and that in itself is calming. It's kind of like the act of tidying a cluttered room. When there's too much colour, too much noise, too many marks, I think painting out can help us regain clarity. And I think we can learn that it's not about erasing mistakes, it's about making space to see more clearly. So painting out can happen anywhere there's a surface carrying something that no longer serves. So that might be a mark, an image, a layer. It might be an old drawing or painting, a page in a book, or even a found photograph. It might be something you've made previously. And these surfaces already hold stories, but by painting over them, we're not erasing them, we're responding to what's there and creating space for new conversations to begin on that page. So painting out can help us create space to pause and reflect, and also space to understand what's still left on the page, what's highlighted by the space around it. The other activity I'd like to explore is deconstructing a man-made item or object. So when we hold something man-made in our hands, its purpose is usually uppermost in our mind. So we're looking at the jeans and we're thinking about their fabric and the style, or maybe we're holding the toothbrush and thinking about a job that's to be ticked off. But of course, these objects are also the sum of their constituent parts. And by deconstructing their parts, we can re-examine the materials and the forms and the textures and the colours. So the process of deconstructing or destroying, whatever we want to call it, the original object so that its original purpose is no longer viable, invites us to physically and intellectually respond to a series of moments. So we hold the object and we ask and we re-ask the question at each stage of deconstruction: what can I discover about these materials and forms? How might I respond to them? How can I alter them? Curiosity and creativity go hand in hand. And when we unmake an object, we give our curiosity something tangible to explore. The resistance of the material, its structure, its stubbornness, provides a kind of friction that feeds our response. When we create things from nothing, it can feel like a challenge because we're kind of pressured to make something, or can be. But when we dismantle or destroy something, I think we're still thinking creatively, just without the weight of the outcome. And what remains at the end of that activity is a series of fragments and parts, which are piles of possibility, and we can respond again with fresh curiosity to those, sorting them, collecting them, curating them. And through this, I think we can deepen our understanding of how materials exist in the world and how they might serve us in the act of making. So the currency with which makers deal is materials, forms, space, and sometimes time and sound. And I think artists understand that the first step in making is often to destroy. when we pick up a piece of charcoal to make a drawing, we're actually destroying the charcoal as we wear it away. Making art often involves erosion and transformation, reappropriation and representation. So I guess the question is, how can we help our learners feel empowered and brave to act mindfully and purposefully, manipulating the world around them, even if that starts with deconstructing or destroying what they see in front of them?